So do not judge me by my winners. Judge me by my losers, because I have so few. Look back at my past videos on this channel and you will see some great examples. However, today's topic will be, we are in a bubble and this bubble looks to continue. And I have been talking about this bubble and the continuation of this bubble into March of next year, after the 30th anniversary of Pokémon. Now, after March, like I have said before, all bets are off. I can't read it. It's a gray zone. It is a gray zone. But like the 25th anniversary, like the 20th anniversary, it's the same thing. The timeline after that is slightly different. However, what I would say is, if you have limited funds, and no financial advice, but if you have limited funds, then ease off slightly until March. Wait a little bit longer. Buy the dip. We've had dips in the past. However, the very extremely interesting thing from my point of view, especially based here in Japan, the dips have become more frequent and the highs have become more frequent. We're talking like a 2-year gap between each high and each dip. So if you think about that, and you don't have so many funds, right? And you can wait it out until, say, middle of next year. Like I said, no financial advice, but my gut feeling is after around about sort of like March onwards, you're gonna see a little bit of a dip on Japanese and English. And then a little bit of fatigue in the market, a little bit kind of like, yeah, okay, let's go and buy some sneakers or whatever, right? And then flatness for a period of time. 6 months, 1 year, 2 years. But 2 years is an outline from my gut feeling. So in that period of time, the stuff that nobody wants and the stuff that's going for cheap, in my personal opinion and how I have done before, is buy that stuff up. If you're going to go down the pub and you're going to buy like 2 beers, and it's going to cost you like, say, hey, let's say $25 for 2 beers, or 20, wherever you might be based in the world, right? But you could buy a card that was $100, which is going for $25, because we're in the lowest of the dip. And then you buy that card and you sit on it for 3 years and that card goes back up to like $500. 2 beers go down the toilet without being crude about it, but $25 on a card that goes back up to tenfold on the next peak. No one's doing anything wrong there, man. That's good. That's a good way to go, right? So, you know, this is an expensive hobby, especially in a bubble, but there's always trends. And go back, if you don't believe me, go back and look at every single time there's been an anniversary of cards, and there's been this super hype with big sets dropped and then an anniversary set and so on and so forth. And then after February, after that kind of like 3 years of like, whoa, let's go to the moon and let's go a little bit higher, and every time it goes a little bit higher, there's been a cooling off. Now, we're not talking about Cabbage Patch dolls here or something. It's not like a 1 year or 2 year phenomenon. We're talking about 30 years worth of data here, right? So all I would say, and I will say this again, no financial advice, but if you're finding the hobby a little bit financially challenging right now, I would say the middle of next year. And then after that, I don't know. The next rebound could be in 6 months, or the next rebound could be in 3 years. But it's coming. It's coming based on past data. So buy stuff that people don't want which you think the artwork looks good and you think that it had a following when the bubble was there. If it's stuff that's already been printed. For example, if you have a card like Kanazawa Pikachu, right, which was given out for free at the Pokémon Center in Japan, and it used to be like 2,000 yen. It went up to like, PSA 10 is like $235, and in the low it's gonna go back down, possibly, in my opinion, to something like around about $110, and then it's already hit $230 in the last peak, and then the next peak, going on the other peaks, it's gonna go slightly higher. Sorry, I'm in the park and there's a lot of mosquitoes here, and therefore, just look at past data and trends, and don't buy because everybody's buying in the peak at the highest point. Think about it carefully. If you think carefully, then therefore you have a chance to buy in at cheap. And I'll give you an example. When the Pikachu Easter promo card was going for like 2,000 yen, I didn't buy it. But then the peak came in, it went for like about 8,000 yen, and I bought one. And that was the most expensive card I've ever bought in Japan until today. 8,000 yen is about what, $58, something like that, right? That's the most expensive card I ever got. I got it graded PSA 10, and now in the PSA 10, the Pikachu Easter promo card is like around about $800-900. I could have bought it cheaper. I could have bought it in the peak, but I bought it as the cheap zone moved into a semi-bubble and then dropped off, and then I saw how high it went, and then I saw how it went down again, and I thought, I better buy it because it's going down, and this could be my last chance to buy it at a cheap price. But now looking at the two bubbles after that fact, 2020s and 2025, that card is crazy out of my reach right now. I couldn't buy that in the PSA 10. I wouldn't even consider it. So all I'm saying to everybody is, where you see cards which are like this crazy right now, is you can buy them, and they still, this bubble could still ride out for another 3 years, who knows. However, there will be a dip, and when there is a dip, look at the card prices, how high they went in the last bubble, and how high and how low they go at the time that you're considering to buy them. But in my personal opinion, have the confidence that whatever they were at the peak before, the next time the next peak comes, the next upturn comes, they're going to surpass those prices. And then have confidence with that. So today's message is, don't worry about the super high prices now. Wait for the next low, but remember what cards prices were in the peak, and consider that the next peak coming along, those prices will go higher than the last peak. Now, if any of that made any sense to anybody, that's great. And me being in the market for this period of time, it makes a lot more sense to me. But if someone who's just joined like about 18 months ago, or 1 year ago, or 1 month ago, they might go, I don't think so. But just go back and filter the prices over the last 10 years and see the lows, see the peaks, see the lows, see the peaks, right? And then if you see a low on a card and a peak on a card, and then look at the peak price, and then look at the next low, and then look at the next peak, that generally very, very, very often, if not the majority of time, the last peak to the low to the next peak is always higher than the last peak. Like I said, no financial advice, but please consider that very carefully, because people sometimes just navel gaze on the pricing right now and they don't think about the data before, and it's something you should really consider. But that's just my rant from the park today. So bye from Tokyo, and if anyone wants any advice, reach out to me on my Instagram account, which is Han HANN_JA55, and I'm happy to answer any questions for anybody who's following me. So thank you very much, and bye from Tokyo.